recording. Find the pen. Okay, so on our paper we have draw. There we go. There. Okay, on my paper I have 69 equals 5 plus 4p. Is that what you have? And we should have started on the side with the variable, and we're going to subtract 5 on both sides. And we get 4p is equal to 64, and then you divide by 4 on both sides. And you end up getting 16 is equal to p. Did everyone get that one? Good. Now, for number 2, n divided by 2 minus 4 equals negative 8, right? Okay, I start on the side with the variable. Here's the variable. I'm going to have to get rid of this minus 4. How do I get rid of a minus 4? Plus 4. When I add 4, I'm going to be careful because these signs are different. So you subtract, you keep the sign of the bigger number. So it should have been negative 4. This is n divided by 2. What's the inverse to division? Multiplication. So you're going to times by 2 on both sides. And you get n is equal to negative 8. Okay, number 3. You have 126 equals 9 plus 9x. I want to subtract 9 from both sides. Well, those calculators don't work because there's no batteries in them, but you can grab them off the wall. This would be what, 137? Is that right? No, 117. Sorry. 117 is equal to 9x. And then you divide by 9. What did we get? 13? All right. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody so far? Did you not get 13? You subtract 9. 126 minus 9 is 117. And then you had to divide by 9. So put 117 in your calculator and divide by 9. Minus 9. You get 13. Okay. Number 4. Number 4, we have negative 2 equals negative 5 plus n divided by 10. Now, this is different. Number 4 is different than number 2. Number 2 has the small fraction, right? But this one is the big fraction. When you have the big fraction, you need to clear the fraction first. How do I clear the fraction? Multiply first. This is one of the few times you multiply before you add and subtract. I need to multiply by 10 on each side so that way the fraction gets cleared. So then I'm left with negative 5 plus n is equal to negative 20. Well, that's a weird marking pen. Do you see how it's multicolored? Okay, and then what do I do to both sides now? Add 5. And that cancels here. I have n is equal to negative 15. So just be careful. There's a difference, right, between the small fraction and this large fraction. Are we all good with those so far? Because I'm going to delete. Okay. Give myself some more room. And now I'm going to go back to the rest. Okay. And now we're at number 5, right? Now, number 5, you have parentheses. Remember, and you have parentheses, what do we have to do first? Well, the problem is you can't really combine these. You are right with the order of operations. But when I look inside, these are what we call unlike terms. I can't add them together. And since I'm trying to solve for x, somehow I got to get rid of these parentheses. How do I get rid of the parentheses? Yes, we have to multiply -7 to both of these, and then I could drop the parentheses. So -7 times 6x is -42x. And -7, make sure you multiply to both and you watch your signs. -21 equals -147. We good so far? So our first step on this was to distribute. That's called the distributive property. We worked on that yesterday. Now, after I distributed, what do I do? Yep, I'm going to add 21 to both sides. And I add 21 because I'm trying to isolate the variable. So I may need to use my calculator because these numbers have positives and negatives and they're getting big. What do we get? -126? Is that what we get? Was I right? Okay. Because I was doing it in my head, so. And this head only had a half a cup of coffee this morning, so it may not be pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to divide by -42. And x is equal to +3. Be careful on your positives and negatives. When I added here, this was negative. This -42, I had to divide by negative. And negative divided by negative is positive. So we did the distributive property and then we solved. We had no like terms that we had to worry about. We didn't have any terms on this side of the parentheses or this side of the parentheses. However, number 6 and 7 are different. Number 6, we do have stuff outside the parentheses. Do you see that? So we have added steps. We're going to have to distribute, but then we're going to have to combine our like terms. So number 6, you have 4 parenthesis -3p plus 2 minus 3p is equal to 98, right? Okay, so now I'm going to multiply. 4 times -3p is -12p. 4 times 2 is 8. And I'm going to bring everything else down. So I distributed, right? I use the distributive property. Distributive property or distribute. But now I can't just solve. What do I have to do before I start crossing over the equal signs? I have to combine like terms. Combine like terms. So when I'm talking about combining like terms, here is a P, right? And over here is another P. It's going to be -15p. Good job. Because this is negative and I'm subtracting or I'm going more negative, right? And so we should get -15p plus 8 equals 98. Now I can solve because I've mastered, I hope you all mastered, the two-step equations. So I'm going to put a line here, right? And I have plus 8. So I have to add minus 8 because you do the inverses. You get negative 15p equals 90. And now you need to divide, right? And divide by negative 15. What does p equal? Negative 6. Because positive divided by negative is negative. How are we doing? Are we doing better? Boy, you feeling better on these? Does that make you feel good? Like nice, warm, fuzzy feelings when we get the problem correct? Gabriel, Alfonso volunteered you, so you can thank Alfonso. I am going to be gone next week for 3 days. I'm still going to be expecting us to learn, and I'm going to be sending videos like I send everybody, but it'll be in the class, and the sub will be playing the video. But I'm sure students are going to have questions, and we can't count on a sub to know math. I've been a math teacher for many years. I never count on a sub to know math. So I need people in class that are going to be willing to answer questions for other students. So I said we're going to have 2 volunteers, Alfonso and Gabriel. Okay? Thank you. Yeah, I need somebody that I know will probably be here and know what they're doing. So I appreciate you. Okay, so now where are we at? I just lost my track. We're on number 7. Okay, so we're on number 7. And I have negative 98 equals negative 4n minus 2 parenthesis 5n minus 7. Now we have to be real careful on this one because we do have to do this distributive property first, and there's a negative number in front of the parentheses. Do you all notice that? Negative number in front of the parentheses. Oh no. Little warmer's not working. Okay. So I'm going to change my color here so I can. So see here I have negative 2, right? You need to distribute this negative 2 to both terms, and you have to watch your signs. So I'm going to bring this negative 98 down. I'm not doing any math to it. I'm going to bring this negative 4n down. No math, just bringing it down. Now I start doing the math. Negative 2 times positive 5n, n. Good job. Negative 2 times negative 7. Be careful. Positive 14. Many students would have kept this negative, right? But not you. You all will get it right because negative times negative, positive. So we distribute. I can't start solving, right? Because it doesn't look like a 2-step problem yet. So what do I have to do? Combine like terms. Okay, so what are my like terms? Yep. And I have to be careful of signs again because this is negative 4n. This is negative 10. What's a negative 4 minus 10? Negative 14n. Those signs are awful. Now I can start solving because now it looks like a 2-step equation. Now is when we use inverse operations. So I'm going to put my line here. Here's the variables on this side. So I want to get rid of this plus 14 since I want to isolate the variable. Here's the variable. It needs to be isolated. So minus 14, right? This negative 14n comes down. And what is negative 98 minus 14? Negative 112. And I'm going to divide. When you divide, always put the number that's by itself in the calculator first. What's by itself is this negative 112. So that goes in the calculator first. Divide it by negative 14. What does that equal? What is it? 8? Thank you. How are we feeling on equations, everyone? Feeling good? I hope so. Because you have a lot more math classes to do, and every single math class from here on out, you have to be able to solve equations. Let me see. I'm going to see. I think I know where I have. I think it's this program. I had the wrong program open for these word problems. Is it this one? No. Let's try this one. Nope. Maybe it's this one. No. I guess not. Okay, I had a copy of it. You guys all have it in front of you, right? Word. Okay, I'm going to type it up really quick. So, Will Guy was going to sell all of his stamp collection to buy a video game. After selling half of them, he changed his mind. He then bought 7 more. How many did he start with if he now has 33? This problem is in. I was typing too fast. Okay, before we start, what does what does half mean? Will Guy was going to buy, so he has a bunch of stamps. We don't know how many he has. So that should be a clue. We're going to use a variable, right? We take that amount and we're going to divide it by 2. So he sold half of them, but then he was, well, Guy, do you collect stamps? I don't know why anybody collects stamps. It seems like a boring collection to me. But maybe Will Guy has a passion for stamps. I don't know. And he changes his mind and then goes, and what does he do? He adds 7 more to his now half collection, right? And he has 33 total right now. If I solve this, X will represent what the amount he had before he sold half of his collection. And that's what they were asking. Okay, how many did he start with? So how do I solve this problem? Yeah, subtract 7. So X divided by 2 is equal to, what's 33 minus 7? 26. And what do I do with this 2? Multiply by 2. So how many stamps did he have when he started with? 52 stamps. Well, Guy, your name is in lights. Look at, I'm silly if you haven't noticed. Okay, so I'll type up this next one really quick. Best high school class I ever take is a class I use every single day. And it was the old fashioned keyboarding class where they'd smack your hands if you try looking at your fingers. Um, and I am so old, I actually learned on manual typewriters. And they would hurt your hands because your fingers would get caught. No, there was not. And so if you made a mistake, you had to have this weird tape or you had to use like the fluid. Yeah. No one liked her. They locked her out of the room one day. I liked her because look at I can type without looking at my fingers and pretty quickly too. So Sean spent half of his weekly allowance on clothes. Again, what did half mean? Half means to do what? Divide by 2. So he has an allowance. I'll use A for allowance. And he divided it by 2. To earn more money, his parents let him now mow the grass for $5. Boy, they're cheap parents nowadays. $5 isn't much for mowing grass. Plus 5 is now equal to 15 because he now has $15. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, to solve this, we would subtract 5. However, when my kids were growing up, they just had to mow the grass. They didn't get paid for it. It was like, that's your chore. Times by 2, times by 2. A gets, yeah, $20. So his allowance was $20 a week. Makes sense or doesn't make sense? Are these word problems getting a little easier? And did you say no? I love it. You're honest. Um, but hopefully you can use your translator, right? When you take your test, I'll let you use the translator. And hopefully we'll just keep doing these and it makes more sense. Jade spent 36, oop, I need a dollar sign, $36 on a magazine and some notepads. If the magazine cost $4 and each notepad cost $4, then how many notepads did she buy? So our variable is going to be the notepads because I don't know how many notepads she bought. But how much did each notepad cost? $4. So $4 times the number of notepads would be how much money she spends on the notepads, right? Plus, she has a magazine. The magazine also costs $4. And she spent a total of $36. So you would subtract 4. You get 4n equals 32. And then divide by 4. And she had 8 notepads. Okay. Like I said, these do nows end up looking like our exam. I just add more to it. And so by the time the exam comes, you've been doing these problems every day. Do you like the way I organize that for lots of practice? On, right? Okay, let's see. Yeah, we're supposed to have 15 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's like half. Okay, solving equations with variables on both sides. And of course, math does get, all it is it gets a little bit more complicated each time, but it's based upon what you already learned. And that's the hard part about math, that if you didn't learn the stuff from the previous days and then you're adding more onto it, It just keeps getting more and more difficult. So today you're going to learn to solve equations that have variables on both sides. Eventually, like I was just talking about, you're going to be able to do substitution and elimination problems, word problems, literal equation problems. We do this stuff all the time in math. I understand that the order required to solving multi-step equations and that you can accurately and fluidly solve the equations. So some of the vocabulary that we need to know is distributive property. We all distributed. Like terms, inverse operations, isolate the variable, and I'm going, after I'm done with this, I just realized there wasn't a page on this one. We're going to have to add some notes to your notes about no solution in all real numbers. That's when your variables end up falling out. It's called what's identities, coefficient, and constant. Okay, always simplify both sides individually before starting to solve. You can't solve equations until it is simplified, okay? I'm not going to go through that one. I'm going to go through the steps and then maybe back up. Step 1, distributive property if needed. Anytime there's parentheses, you have to distribute through the parentheses, and that removes the parentheses. Sometimes we need to combine like terms. Then step 3, you always deal with the variables first. There's a lot of reasons why you want to do that, but the big ones is if you end up getting all real numbers and no solutions, if you start dealing with the numbers first, it gets really confusing. We want to add or subtract constants. Remember, we need 0 pairs. And then we want to multiply or divide a coefficient. Okay, so here we have a problem. And number 1 says to do what? Distribute. So I have to distribute this 3x to both of these in the parentheses. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 2x equals 4x plus 6. Some students think that drawing a line here helps because it clearly divides the equal sign. You don't have to do that, but if that helps you as a visual, you may want to do that. Okay, we are going to now, we did this, we distributed. Now we're going to combine like terms. On this side, are there like terms we have to combine? Yeah, we have 2 sets of x's. We have 3x, 2x, combine, that makes 5x. I still have that 6. And then on this side, I don't have any like terms, right? So I'm just going to bring this down. Okay, now I'm going to deal with the variables first. I'm going to add or subtract the variable to one side. When I do these problems, I always try to keep my variables positive. So I usually will add or subtract this, the smaller one over. However, when we get to inequalities, you'll always want the variable on the left side. So I may just keep showing you the left side because next week we're going to be doing inequalities, which are a little different, and you always want the variables on the left side for those. So I think I'm going to teach it this way. So here's 4x. I'm going to bring it over to the left side. So it's positive. What's the inverse of being positive? Negative. And so this cancels, right? Because that's 0, and I'm left with 6. And I have 6 over here plus x, or 1x. You can put a 1 in front if you want, or just leave it as x. Now, I have to isolate the variable. Here's the variable. I want to get the variable by itself, so I want to get rid of this 6. So the goal is variables on one side, constants on the other, like sorting your laundry so you don't get pink clothes. So I am going to subtract 6, x is equal to, what is 6 minus 6? 0. And 0 can be an answer. A lot of students get nervous when they see 0 as an answer. I don't know why, but they do. Good? Okay, let's look at this one. Do I have do I have parentheses in this one? No. Do I have to combine like terms on this one? No. These only have constant variable. Constant variable. So for here, I'm just going to subtract 4m. This cancels here. I get negative 13. And on this side, I have 2 plus 3m. Did I lose anyone yet? Geometry, we have lots of times when there's variables on both sides. You'll be good. I make geometry fun. I really do. I love teaching geometry.
So okay. Essentially, this is basically the same stuff we've been doing. It's just getting combined.
It's just the what's different today's lesson, and that's a good question to have, than the previous lessons, is now we have variables on both sides. And a lot of times that confuses students. You want to get variables to one side, constants to the other. So here I have 2 plus 3m equals negative 13. Now I have m on one side. I want to get the variable or the constants on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 2 here. And I get 3m is equal to negative 15. Yeah, this is negative. This is negative. They're both negative, so we add them together and keep it negative, right? Okay, so now I'm going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. M is equal to negative 5. Oh, yay? Nay? And of course, now they just get a little bit more complicated as I'm going down the list here. So, like this one, no distributive property, right? Yes? This one? So, can I do the next one? Because I think I'll answer your question. Okay, because this is what you're talking about, right? Okay, so when you're here, a lot of students make the mistake of trying to do inverse operations. Don't do that till you are ready to cross over the equal signs. Right here, we're going to combine like terms first. So 6v and 4v, and you do what it's asking you to do here. That's 10v. And then I have plus 1, right? And over here, I need to do the exact same thing, other than I'm now looking at these numbers needing to be combined. And I need to do what it's asking me to do. So negative 2 minus 1, which is negative 3. So when I have to combine like terms, don't use inverse operations. You actually just combine them. Now the goal, I'm done combining like terms here and here. The goal is to get variables to one side, constants to the other. So I'm going to try to get rid of this 8v and bring it over to this other side here. It's positive. I'm crossing over the equal sign. So now I do inverse. Now I subtract. And then I get 2v plus 1 equals negative 3, because this is 0. Oh, I'm almost done. It's a two-step equation now, right? I'm going to subtract 1, 2v equals negative 4, and then you just divide by 2. V equals negative 2. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anybody else have questions on this one before? Because I know it's getting complicated. We're adding a lot more steps. But it is like cooking a nice dinner. If you follow the recipe step by step, you're going to be okay. I keep telling my husband that for over 30 years, and he still can't cook. And he's an engineer. You'd think he'd be able to follow steps. Uh, I think he does it on purpose so that way he doesn't have to cook.
Coming from the perspective of a man, I will tell you, we just don't like to follow directions.
Oh, but he has to for work. I mean, he's an engineer. That's what he does for a living is read manuals. I know. Okay. So here on this one, I have distributive property. You won't have to worry about combining like terms, but I do have distributive property. I have to distribute. So distribute means I have parentheses, I have a number outside, so I have to multiply to both. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times negative 6m is negative 12m equals negative 13 plus 5m. Right? Now, now I have to get variables to one side, constants to the other. Since I know that our next lesson with inequalities, I want my variables here, I'm just going to keep teaching it this way. So I'm going to subtract 5m, subtract 5m, bloop, that cancels, right? And I have this 4 minus 17m is equal to negative 13. Did I lose anybody? So what will be my next step? Excellent. Yep. Excellent. You want to get this constant over here. So that way, just like our laundry, we're separating the constants and the variables. So we separate, we're going to subtract 4, negative 17m is equal to negative 17. We divide by negative 17. And m is equal to what? 1. Any number divided by itself is always 1. You are not the only one who thinks that sometimes, but we need to break that. Okay. We good? Okay, now we have all the steps. We have distributive property and combined like terms, right? Do you see it? Because you see, so we have a term hanging outside the parentheses, so that's an indicator. We're going to have to combine like terms after the fact. So I'm going to draw my line here because sometimes that helps students. And I need to simplify, which means I'm going to do the distributive property first and then combine my like terms. 4 times 6a, 24a. 4 times negative 6, negative 24. And I have this plus 4a over here. I'm going to bring this down. Negative 5a minus 24, right? And so now combine my like terms. I know I have to combine my like terms because on this side I have a 24a and a 4a. I'm going to combine them before I cross over equal signs. Do not use inverse operations here. You just add these together. 24a plus 4a is 28a minus 24. And then over here, negative 5a minus 24. I just brought this down because I didn't do anything with this. For this one, I combined these two and then brought the negative 24 down. Okay, so now what am I going to do? Well, I want to deal with the variables first. You always want to do variables first. There's reasons later. So let's bring this one over here first. You could do it your way. It's just there's certain problems that if you deal with the variables first, it makes it easier. So I'm going to subtract 28a. This cancels. I'm going to be careful because that minus 24, I have to keep this as minus 24. Over here, this would be negative, what, 33? A minus 24. Well, is this going to be another 0? It is. Because I'm going to add 24 to both sides. You get negative 33a is equal to 0. You divide by negative 33. A is equal to 0. I want you to, you guys at your tables, to work these out. You can work with a partner. I want you to check your answers. Try using each other and not using me. I am going to have to add a note page here. I'm going to add it right here. I got to make some up on my own. If you're watching this at home, I went ahead and worked out these problems. Number 1 should have been 5. Number 2 should have been -2. Okay, did you get those answers? Did you get x equals 5? Did you get x equals 5? For number 1, x should equal 5. And number 2, you should have got p equals -2. So you do the distributive property here. 7 times -5p is -35p. 7 times 7 is negative, but it's at a minus. Negative, geez, -49. Yeah. Um, sorry. Um, so you have p. You're going to add -35 and 1 together to combine your like terms, those p's. And you get -34p. You still have that -49. The other side just came straight down. Then you have to add 34p to both sides. That is the non professional way of talking to someone on a phone at a school or workplace. Okay. So, I'm sorry. Do you want me to like erase this and do this problem step by step with you, number 2?
Yeah, because I'm getting 2, not, I'm getting 2, not -2. I
Okay.
get 2, I'm just not getting negative.
Okay. Well, we will. Let me do that. Yes, this makes it negative because when you have a negative minusing a negative, you're going more negative. So that's why that's -64. But I'll go ahead and do this from scratch. Well, I wish there was an easier way to erase from this screen here. Okay. For those who are still struggling with number 2, the first step is to do the distributive property, okay? Oh, come on. Doo-doo-doo. Okay. So I make it look easy because I've been doing this for a long time. So it's definitely going to need practice. So there's nothing to simplify on this side of the equation, right? So this can just come straight down. It's this other side that there's a lot of stuff we have to do. We're going to distribute and then combine like terms. So when I take 7 and multiply it by these two terms, I get -35p minus 49 plus 1p. If you want to draw 1 there to help you, you can. You combine these p's. That's -34p minus 49. And then on this side, you have 15 minus 2p. Did you get this far?
Yeah.
Jen, you got that far? Okay. So I'm going to deal with the variable first, and I'm going to bring this to this other side by using inverse operations. So this becomes positive. When I add it to the -2p, the 15 comes down and this becomes positive 32p. -2 plus 34 is positive. This is a -49 that's left on this side, right? You subtract 15 on both sides. This cancels here. You're left with 32p on the left. On the right, when I add these two together, that's negative 64. And then you're dividing by a positive. So a negative divided by a positive is negative.
I somehow messed up. I couldn't even read my own handwriting.
Oh, that happens. My handwriting's not the greatest, so I totally empathize. Sometimes when you're doing equations, on one side you could have, like this we call a balanced equation because I have x's and constants, right? This one is unbalanced because I have only one term on this side, but I have two terms on this side. The only reason I'm saying that is because when we get to inequalities, we do. For these, technically, you could put them on either side. Okay, and with these, you may end up starting on the. If the equation is unbalanced, always start on the side with the more terms. In this case, Jay, I'm actually going to have to. Am I pronouncing your name right, Jane? I'm going to have to actually put my variable on the other side because this is an unbalanced equation. You could add 12 to both sides and then just move the 12 over here and then bring the 3x over, but you're just adding more steps. So the most efficient way to do this problem would be to start with the side with the more and subtract the 9x. And then this is negative 12 equals negative 6x. You divide by negative 6 and you get x is equal to 2. In this case, it is more efficient to bring the variable to the right side, which is opposite of what we've been doing. Now, if you wanted to keep doing what we've been doing, if you're good with what we just did, you can ignore me. But let's say you wanted to bring this 3x over, right? Well, if I bring this 3x over, this becomes 6x minus 12. I can't just leave this as crossed out. What is 3x minus 3x? You would put a 0 here, and then you would add 12, and you would get 6x equals 12. Go away. 6x equals 12, and then you divide by 6, and then you get x equals 2. So you could do these problems more than one way. This is if you wanted to keep your variable on the left side. This is if you didn't care which side your variable is on. Both of them are logical and can work to, to do these. Does that make sense? Okay. So why don't you try to do this one? You guys try to do this one. And then I'm going to skip question 6 because of time, because I want you to have time to do your worksheet. And then, but I do want to talk about no solutions and all real numbers. So did you get 9 for this answer? How's it 9? Yeah, yeah. As long as you get positive 9 and you show your work, you're good. You're good. Uh huh. Yep. That's fine. I am not a stick. If anybody ever told you there's one way to do a math problem, I want to give you some time to work on a worksheet. These 3 times 4a, 3 times negative 6. This would be 12a. You do not have this in your paper. You have to write this down. So you should have a now you try somewhere on your paper. Do you have a space or no? Do you have a blank? Do you have where it says now you try, you complete independent practice problems? It's just a space to work these out. Is it not on there? Okay. Well, you could cross out, we're skipping this one. So you can use this space to write these out. And we're not doing this one. So you can use this bottom space too. So when I work out this problem, something weird's going to happen. Oh, yes. That's 10. So what happens with these variables when I subtract the 12a? Do you see the variables cancel on both sides? And I get negative 18 is equal to 10. Does that make any sense? No. This is called a no solution. There is no number out there that will make this work. So anytime you get a number equaling a different number like this, then it is a no solution. This next one will be all real numbers because you get an answer where a number is equaling itself. Watch what happens for this one. So it'd be negative 8a minus 18 minus 1 equals negative 8a minus 19. Negative 8a minus 19 equals negative 8a minus 19. When I add 8a to both sides, they cancel, and I'm left with negative 19 equals negative 19. When they equal the same number, we call that all real numbers. Any number would work for A. So this is like an infinite set of numbers. This one, there is no number in the world that would make this work. So this one is all real numbers when the variables fall out and equals the same number. This one, see how this is different numbers? So that's a no solution. You just needed to know those, okay?